listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Matrix and Hammer.
Guys, here's another Insight Mini. Hammer's not here, so I have the NFL Maverick himself in. Today's going to be all about trade targets. Mate, I want to hear what you've got going on about Southeast Melbourne, because a lot of this is going to be schedule dependent, and I know you're a member, and I don't want to talk about Brisbane, so please talk about Southeast Melbourne.
Let's talk about Josh King, mate. Let's talk about how good he's been since he's come into the coaching role, and they've been, undefeated at home, 50-50 on the road, I suppose, but all in all, mate, it's gone from bottom of the ladder to fourth, possibly third, so the sky's really the limit for them, and let's see if they can win a playoff series, play-in series, anything would be nice. Hopefully beat United, that'd feel really good.
Yeah. I think they're exciting to watch. I love watching them in Adelaide, and they've been my favourite teams to watch. But we're here to talk about trade targets, so let's head into that.
Targets acquired.
Look, I've got a Sydney Kings player that I personally need to trade out. So Sydney Kings, if we have a look at the schedule, are all done when it comes to doubles now. So there is no point holding any of these guys, even though I consider Adelaide a pretty good matchup for guards. Look, your Jalen Adams and your Xavier Cooks, which is where I'm finding my money this week, they really need to go. We have Adelaide 36ers and the Taipans having the most amount of games going forward. So you would expect that we're going to chat about a couple of Adelaide 36ers. If you don't have them, there is a couple of must-haves. Probably going to preface those 36ers and the Cairns Taipans, mate. The first one, Tanner Groves. What do you see with Tanner Groves?
Well, he's just been a bit all over the shop, let's be honest. He's had some really good games and then some really bad games. So, look, Tanner Groves is probably going to see the bulk of the minutes there. I think his role's safe. He's not at an expensive price, I suppose, but he's just at that awkward price where you probably just get him in just based off schedule, just the schedule, really. So, it does make me feel a little bit sick that you trade Xavier Cooks potentially for Tanner Groves. But at the same token, Tanner Groves is probably going to get more points over a week's period than Xavier Cooks. So it sort of makes sense. We're chasing points here at the end of the day.
Yeah, chasing points, but I think it's also going to let me upgrade someone. So it's going to let me upgrade somebody with a bit better schedule. And I'm looking at you if you own a Cam Oliver. It might allow you to get it up to another 300K guy. I think it's more what you do with the extra 80K, but like 2 extra games of Tanner Groves is going to outscore, 5 games of Tanner Groves is going to outscore 3 games of Xavier Cooks. So I'm not saying Tanner Groves is a better player than Xavier Cooks. I'm just saying the way that Supercoach has scored, and if you're looking at game day squads and these other games that are about, they take the highest score. But yeah, talking purely NBL Supercoach, Tanner Groves is better than Xavier Cooks, say for this week. Now, after last week, Ward had an absolute stinker, played limited minutes. Tanner Groves found himself out on the floor, which he's found himself in foul trouble. So that's what tips me over on Tanner Groves instead of a Sam Wardenberg. Do you feel the same way given that comparison?
Yeah, I do, mate. I really do. Now, Wardenberg, look, he was a massive trade target for last week because of the schedule. People were trying to trade him in because he was cheap to try and get him early, but he was a massive flop. As you said, minutes weren't there, points weren't there, just a lot of nothing. So, look, Wardenberg actually might be a bit of a trade target for some this week, but so is Tanner Groves. I mean, he's centre forward eligible too. So that also helps out too. I mean, I know some teams are still carrying Tyrell Harrison still on their bench, and he reckons they're doubtful for this week too. So that could be a straight swap there in itself. So potentially. But yeah, no, Tanner Groves has been really good, mate. I think he's he scored 66 points in game with both games, for round 17. So that's really good.
And he's priced at like a 26 or 27, so it's value. He's still going to get cheaper. He's still probably going to drop another 10, 15K this week. Of course, this is recorded before the last couple games, so we don't know exactly where that lands. I haven't popped on the calculator yet, but they're not playing in the next game, so that's good. I don't see how you can get Wardenberg. He missed his break even. Huge. I suppose he's going to be cheaper. He missed his break even. He's going to be about the same price. I don't know. When you see them start to shut him down with 4 rounds left, my alarm bells are just spinning. Like, he hardly played in the last couple.
That's right. So Tanner Grad's, again, at the time of recording, his break even is 73. So he'll be at like, what, 285-ish. So I think that's really good. I would probably look at him as probably as you said, a downgrade to Xavier Cooks. I think is a great one because then you can use the cash on someone else who we'll get into in the next one, which I'll just mention it now. If you haven't got KD and you want some cash and you need some cash, there you go, mate. Use that cash on KD because, again, I think it was the pleb that posted on the Twitter the other day saying that he's the highest Supercoach player of the short history of Supercoach NBL. And again, with 2 doubles coming up, it's just important that he's in your side because he's going to be in everyone's side and captain too. So it's just points. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. KD's must own. I think Montrezl Harrell, if we're looking at that same team, is must own as well. With 2 doubles in a row. I even like Isaac Humphries as a bit of a pod at a cheaper price. Like, for example, you didn't own... you had Xavier Cooks and you didn't own KD. Maybe going Xavier Cooks down to a Humphries gives you enough money to get somebody up to KD. I think that's a huge win because if you go Xavier Cooks to Trez, well, then you're not going to be able to afford KD because the only reason you don't own KD is because you haven't been able to afford him, to be honest.
And that's right, because you'll have teams where it'll have Bryce Cotton, for example, 515K, whatever he's at. Jalen Adams, another one. Trey Kell, another one. So if you're looking for cash, they're the guys you upgrade to get to KD in. Look, I suspect most will have KD already. So then we pivot the other way and look at Montrezl Harrell. Use that cash to upgrade him. Again, Tyrell Harrison, there's still a lot of teams that carry him. He's probably not going to play this week. So, again, getting in Montrezl Harrell for 2 doubles in a row, their season's on the line now. So there's, 5 games to go. They've got a lot to play for in these last 5 games. And I suspect the big 2 will be heavily involved.
If I was Mike Welbs, I would just be getting the ball into KD's hand, saying, find Trez early and often, you're great passing. Everybody else, stand in the corner, hump, get in the dunker spot, and just go to work. That would be, I suppose, the game plan. So, look, those Adelaide guys, 2 doubles in a row, if we bring up the schedule, that's good. Now, if you have KD and you go to look at guards with the best schedule, you've got Taran Armstrong and Rob Edwards coming off 53 and 56 in the last week. Of course, that's in 2 doubles. Taran Armstrong a couple of weeks ago hit his career high Supercoach-wise in 44 points. That was in that big win against Illawarra. I like both these options. I've owned Rob Edwards this year but haven't owned Taran. I prefer the consistency of Taran Armstrong over Rob Edwards. I only liked Rob when Taran was out. So are you looking at this the same way when you're comparing Taran Armstrong and Rob?
I actually traded in Taran Armstrong 2 weeks ago when he hit a low break even to try and get on that train a little bit earlier because he's sitting on my bench and, everyone had a double in that point. It didn't really matter. But again, we're trying to get him in early so he doesn't go up to a price where you can't afford him or you might not get enough cash there to generate against someone else. So Taran Armstrong, mate, I agree. I think he's the one. I mean, Rob had a big game in the last round, or it was the second game of the last round, a massive game, had 35 points. Was pretty much the difference, even though they blew out Brisbane, I think it was. But no, Taron Armstrong, mate, as you said, the most consistent option. And he's getting better game by game, really. I think I've said this a few times, he's the future of Australian basketball. I think the sky's the limit for this kid. I don't know where he's going to play next year, but I really like him. I think he's awesome.
He does seem like the guy that like he should get a summer league run, I think. But I'm not sure he'll make it this year at least. So I wonder if like he's going to be a target for a Sydney or a Tasmania or somebody like that. I've probably got. I know you've got one to bring up. I've probably got two more pods from this team. Pedro Bradshaw, 200k. Could you roll the dice playing an extra game? Just trying.
Probably, because, again, I'm just going to bring this up right now. Days went down with a hammy. We're not too sure how bad Days is at. Now, Days is at 210k, and he's in 9% of teams. I'm one of those 9% that owns him. So, Pedro, I don't mind. His scores are sort of all over the shop, very inconsistent for the most part. But if you want guys playing, he's playing.
Can I give you another option? If we think that they've shut Ward down for the season and they're going to play him spot minutes like we saw in the last week, introduce AK Gak, 169k, coming off a 44, forward centre eligible. And I'm not saying that he's a guy that you start, but I am saying, and I know that you don't have KD. So I am saying if you need to free up some cash, if that's enough downgrading to an AK Gak, I prefer him over a Kyron Galloway. I like his role. For AK Gak, I like that Tanner Groves gets himself in foul trouble so often. I like how small Tanner Groves and Wardenberg are. So if they do need that genuine size, they have to go to AK Gak. While I don't think he's the best basketball player, I think he's going to get opportunities in these next 3 weeks.
You're spot on, mate, with that opportunity. And that's what Cairns are looking for at the moment, the next 3 weeks. Their season's done. They're looking for the future, seeing if they've got something in Gak. He's going to go up a bit in price this week, just a little bit. So, he hit 37 break even, so he's probably going to go up 6K maybe, maybe a bit 10K, something like that. But yes, yep. I agree, mate. I think that's forward centre eligible too, so you can easily put him in, downgrade, and use cash elsewhere to upgrade again. So if he's got to score 44 points or around about the 40 points mark every in the doubles, then absolutely, mate. I actually really like it.
I do too. Look, I've got to shout out the Standard Squeeze. Use code IFS50 to get 15% off your products. I've got them all over my shoulder. I might even put a little whiskey in it for the next episode. But you've got one more that you want to bring up, and he is 3.7% owned, mate. What have you got?
His name's Drell Martin. He's been a bit disappointing for the most of the year, to be honest. But as a downgrade option, centre forward eligible, he's going to be playing. He'll play 15 minutes a night, maybe 20 minutes a night, depending on the availability of Trez's foul trouble, I suppose. That can also be question marked at times. But, he's 160, be 170k, give or take. So, yeah, he's going to be out there, mate, playing 2 doubles in a row. And, yeah, let's see what he can do.
And Mike Wells, look, I'm not sure he's the greatest coach in the world, but Nick Marshall has fallen out of favour, and he just seems to be about just getting the best guys out on the floor, while Jarrell has struggled, I think, with his fitness and coming back from this injury. We did start to see an uptick in minutes and an uptick in points in the last game. So, look, opportunity, getting out there. If he's looking a bit fitter, they might be looking, should they make the play-in, they might be looking to get Jarrell some reps as well. So, I don't hate it.
And it doesn't matter because at this point of the year, a lot of your bench is going to be stuck on your bench, right? So you're trading to get people in to be playing games. It doesn't matter at this point. You want guys playing. So you're going to have guys stuck on your bench for, Joel Martin you'll keep for the remainder of the year. Same with Tanner Groves. Same with Pedro Bradshaw. So whoever you trade in now, you'll be keeping. So it just doesn't matter. You just want to be guys playing.
Yep, and Jarrell will definitely be playing. Mate, that wraps it up. I know it sounds like you can't dive in and talk about Southeast Melbourne when they've got one double left. As much as I would love to talk about Sydney Kings at the moment, we can't because there's not doubles left. So if we were doing, and we tried it last week, breaking news in regards to basketball in general, then we could talk about all these teams. But realistically, we've targeted in the guys from the teams that play the most amount of games heading on the run home. And look, I know it's only a short list of 5 or 6 players, but I honestly think there's only a short list of 5 or 6 players that are viable bringing in this week.
Yeah, they are, mate. And again, Supercoach NBL is so dependent on schedule. That's probably why I struggled in the last couple of weeks with the full doubles for the last couple of weeks. And my bench is just not good enough. My starters aren't too bad, but my bench isn't good enough. So that's where my rankings sort of take a bit of a hit. But yeah, all in all, mate, you just have to nitpick the schedule, make sure you guys are playing. You're not holding anyone that's injured. It's all it is, mate. It's an easy game. It's really easy.
Sure is. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.